Hello class, we're about to start section 8.1, percent sales tax and income tax. Our objectives: to express a fraction as a percent, express a decimal as a percent, express a percent as a decimal, solve applied problems involving sales tax and discounts, compute income tax, determine percent increase or decrease, and investigate some of the ways percent can be abused. Now we have the basics of percent. In this section, we begin our journey into consumer mathematics and financial management. We begin by learning about the basics of percent and then progress into applications of percent such as sales tax and income tax. Percent, also United States percent. Adverb, by a specified amount in or for every 100. Noun, one part in every 100. The rate, number, or amount in each 100, from Old English Dictionary. When you see the word per, think divide. For example, to calculate miles per gallon, divide the miles traveled by the gallons used. Cent comes from the Latin centum, meaning 100. A century is 100 years. Percents are the result of expressing numbers as a part of 100. The word percent means per 100. Percent means per 100. For example, if Ron made 75% of his free throws, what can we conclude? We can conclude that he made 75 out of 100. Express a fraction as a percent. To express a fraction as a percent, divide the numerator by the denominator and then express the resulting decimal as a percent by moving the decimal 2 places to the right. Divide the numerator by the denominator. 2. Multiply the quotient by 100. This is done by moving the decimal point in the quotient 2 places to the right and add a percent sign. Now, we come to our first example. It says express 5/8 as a percent. So the first thing we want to do is divide the numerator by the denominator. So we would take 8 into 5. Now we should put 0.00 just as placeholders. So we bring up our decimal. 8 goes, matter of fact, let me write it over here. This will give us more space. 8 goes into 50 times. 8 goes into 56 times. 6 times 8 is 48. 50 minus 48 is 2. Bring down your 0. 8 goes into 20 twice. 2 times 18 is 16. Leaves you 4. We will add another 0. Bring that 0 down. 8 goes into 40 5 times. 5 times 8 is 40. And our final answer is 0.625. Now we say multiply the quotient by 100. That's the same thing as you just moving a decimal to the right 2 places. So we could take 0.625 times 100, and that's the same as 62.5. And then step 3, we will add a percent sign, which will give us 62.5%. Now this is the process in changing a fraction to a percent. So we add 62.5%. Now we come to our next example. We add 3/5 as a percent. So we follow the steps. First we divide the denominator into the numerator. 5 goes into 3 0 times. 5 goes into 30 6 times. 6 times 5 is 30. And we have 0, so we could put a 0 here. So this will give us 0.60. Now remember, we're going to multiply this by 100, and this will give us 60. And we will add a percent sign at the end. So it'll be 60%. So we divide, multiply, add the percent sign. Well, multiply by 100, then add a percent sign. Okay, we come to our next example. We're going to take 8 into 7. And remember, I said I always add 2 zeros behind the decimal. That's just something I do. You don't have to necessarily do it. So we add 8 into 7, goes 0 times. 8 goes into 70, 8 times. 8 times 8 is 64. 70 minus 64 is 6. Bring down our 0. 8 goes into 60 7 times. 7 times 8 is 56. We have 4. We have to add a 0 here. Bring the 0 down. 8 goes into 40 5 times. 5 times 8 is 40. We have no remainder. Now we need to change this 0.875 to 87. Well, we'll multiply that by 100. So we'll take 0.875 times 100, which will give us 87.5, and then we will add our percent sign at the end. And we're done. Now we scroll to the next problem. Now we would take 40 into 3, and you know I like to add my 2 zeros. 40 goes into 3 0 times. 40 goes into 30 0 times. 40 goes into 300 7 times. 7 times 40 is 280. And that leaves us 20. We add a 0 here and bring it down. 40 goes into 200 5 times. 5 times 40 is 200. Now, we would take this value here and multiply by 100. And that would give us 7.5. And we have to add a percent sign at the end. And that is our final answer, 7.5%. Now we need to take this next problem, 80 to 9.00. 80 goes into 9 0 times. 80 goes into 90 once. 1 times 80 is 80. 90 minus 80 will give us 10. Bring down your 0. 80 goes into 100 once. So it'll be 100 minus 80, which is 20. Add a 0. Bring the 0 down. 80 goes into 200 twice. 2 times 80 is 160. 200 minus 160 is 40. We will add a 0 and bring it down. 80 goes into 400 5 times. 5 times 80 is 400, and we have no remainder. So now we need to multiply this by 100, 0.1125 times 100, and this will give us 11.25, and we will add our percent sign at the end, and we're done. Now we come to our next example. We would take 3 into 2.00. 3 goes into 2 0 times. 3 goes into 26 times. 6 times 3 is 18. Bring down our 0. 3 goes into 26 times. 6 times 3 is 18. We have a 2. If you notice, we're going to have a repeating decimal here. So what we need to do is this here. Remember how we would multiply this by 100, which means we would move this 2 decimal places to the right. So that would give us 66. And we will write this as a fraction. We know this would be like having a remainder of 2. So this would be 66 2/3%. Now, we come down here. It says write 12 over 25 as a percent. So we would take 25 to 12. I would say add 2 zeros. 25 goes into 12 0 times. 25 goes into 120 4 times. 4 times 25 is 100. That'll leave us 20. We'll bring down our 0. 25 goes into 200 8 times. We have nothing remaining. So we know we will multiply this by 100, which means we will move this decimal 2 places to the right and add a percent sign. So it'll be 48%. Now we have another example. It says in a survey of 100 people, 47 preferred the color blue. What percent of the people preferred blue? So this is 47 out of 100 people, so it'll be 47%. It says what percent of the people did not prefer blue? Now remember, when you have 100 people, so if 47 preferred blue, that means 53 did not, and that's 53 out of 100, which is 53%. Now, we have express a decimal as a percent or a percent as a decimal. It is often useful to write a decimal as a percent or a percent as a decimal. Expressing a decimal as a percent. To convert a decimal to a percent, move the decimal point 2 places to the right. To express a decimal as a percent, move the decimal point 2 places to the right and attach a percent sign. Expressing a percent as a decimal. To convert a percent to a decimal, move the decimal point 2 places to the left. And this is the procedure here. To express a percent as a decimal number, move the decimal point 2 places to the left and remove the percent sign. Now, we want to express 0.47 as a percent. Now remember, we must move the decimal 2 places to the right, and that will give us 47%. To move this decimal 2 places to the right and add a percent sign. It says write 0.50 as a percent. This will be written as 50% when you move it 2 places to the right and add your percent sign. Now we have 1.35 as a percent. We'll move that decimal 2 places to the right. Now to give us 135, and we will add a percent sign at the end. Next, we have the same procedure here. We move this decimal 2 places to the right. That'll give us 0.125, and that's still the percent. Now it says write 0.875 as a percent. Move it 2 places to the right, it'll be 87.5%. Next it says write 5.8 as a percent. Move it 2 places to the right, it'll give you 580%. Now the example here, it says express 19% as a decimal. So first of all, we don't see a decimal here. But remember, it's always assumed to be a decimal after the last digit of a number. So technically the decimal is behind the 9. So we will move that decimal 2 places to the left, and that is give us 0.19, and we will drop the percent sign. Now it says express 180% as a decimal. So remember that decimal is right here at this behind the 0. Move it 2 places to the left, and that would give us 1.8, or you could write 1.80. Either one is fine. Now we have to write 275% as a decimal. Remember, this is assumed to be a decimal here. Move it 2 places to the left, be 2.75, and we drop the percent. Write 2.25% as a decimal. Move this decimal 2 places to the left, and it'll be 0.0225, and drop the percent sign. Write 0.38% as a decimal. Move it 2 places to the left, it'll be 0.0038 without the percent sign. And it says here write 65% as a decimal. Remember, we'll put the decimal here at the end, move it 2 places to the left, and it'll be 0.65. Now we move on to percent, sales tax, and discounts. We add a percent formula. Many applications involving percent are based on the following formula. A is P percent of B, which is A equals P times B. A is P percent of B, we have A equals P times B. A is the number compared to B, P is the percent in decimal form, and B is the base of the base number. Note that of implies multiplication. Now, we want to use keywords. What number is the unknown? Either A, P, or B. Is means equal, of means times. When you see the word of, think multiply. Sales tax. We use this formula to determine sales tax collected by states, counties, cities on sales items to customers. Sales tax equals tax rate times the item's cost. Now the discount. Businesses reduce prices or discount to attract customers and to reduce inventory. The discount rate is a percent of the original price. The discount amount is equal to the discount rate times the original price. Now those are the formulas we will be using. Now on the next page it says use the percent formula to solve the following problems. What number is 12% of 15? What number we know would be our x. Is equal. 12% we will write as a decimal. Of means multiplication, and 15 is 15. Now we will multiply this. So we will have x is equal to 1.8. Now what I did here, I used the application form for algebra for this problem.